You know, there were honestly moments when I was afraid I was going to hate this game, but these doubts turned out to be unfounded. Instead, the difficulty I had at first was all on me, having not played Mario 64 for many years, and having to adapt to the physics and clunky camera once again. Super Mario and the Cursed Castles mostly takes these limitations of the original game into account and plays within the Mario 64 sandbox rather competently, with balanced gameplay, a polished presentation and story, and a different take on boss fights that's not just a straight-up regurgitation of the original Bowser battles. See, I used to make custom levels in Star Wars games like X-Wing Alliance, and up until now, my YouTube channel was based around building things in games like Ark and Minecraft. So I appreciate creative level designers, and it was only natural that I'd choose Foxen's game to be one of the first to be reviewed for my channel's new focus on Nintendo fan games. So if you've had trouble finding good hacks to play or you're not sure where to start, then be sure to subscribe for more reviews and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out. Foxen included instructions in the README that help you get up and running on Project 64. I had no trouble following them, but no other emulator or hardware is officially supported. Once you boot up the game, you're greeted with a modified Mario 64 title screen with a green background. Loading a blank file spawns you on a bleak hilltop with a dead tree and a broken bridge nearby, with 3 castles in the distance. This is part of the story, where King Boo has taken over these castles and cursed the surrounding land. The area also comes back into play later on in a surprising way, but for now, the castles function as the game's hub world, which house paintings just like in the original Super Mario 64. The only world open to you at first is Line Clear Frontier, a world filled with floating Tetris blocks that's just as memorable of a first level as Bob-omb Battlefield is. While there's a few stars based around exploration and puzzles, Super Mario and the Cursed Castles heavily favors precision platforming. Getting most of the stars requires knowing how to use long jumps, triple jumps, wall jumps, side jumps, and even combinations of those moves. A few hard-to-get stars in later worlds even require you to perform a side jump into a wall, rebound, and then reverse direction to land on a platform that would be out of reach in any other way. Getting all 121 stars is really hard, at least it was for me. But the challenge to get the 75 stars required to beat the game is only a little more difficult than it is to reach the end of the original game, which means that Foxen did a great job balancing the difficulty curve between accessibility and hardcore challenge. You can tailor the game's difficulty to your personal preference by focusing on some stars and ignoring others. But by challenging yourself to become a platforming god, you will earn yourself some really cool action sequences, and getting all 121 stars will open up a secret in the game's end credits room. The music by Technomancer is completely original to this ROM hack and is quite good for the most part. However, it seemed too loud in the mix compared to the game sounds, and during the 2 songs featuring horn instruments, this volume issue felt overbearing. Unfortunately, one of those songs is the first significant song you hear in this game, as it is the hub world music. It wasn't a great first impression for me, and because I'm still new to the world of reviews, I nearly wrote the music off right then and there. Thankfully, I took a second look, because Technomancer's work is actually pretty good. None of the music feels repetitive, and I also found myself humming along to some of the tunes. I even noticed that he tied the overworld theme to the theme heard in the ghostly macabre manor, implying that King Boo came from the manor to take over the castles. Listen to these samples. He has intentionally imbued his music with purpose and story. The texture work of the game combines existing textures with plenty of new ones that are designed to fit within the original game's aesthetic. It's Yeoman's work and functional, with standout work in Line Clear Frontier and Skyward Sanctuary, which is a world filled with floating ruins. These worlds really pop in their color and variety. It's evident that Foxen put a lot of thought into each world's layout because nearly all of them are well designed. The moving cars in the city level practically begged me to perform some acrobatic shenanigans off them, and the treetop world is overflowing with multi-layered goodness. Enemies are not just spammed, but are placed in spots that make getting certain stars challenging. And Celestial Citadel, one of the worlds in the final castle, mixes up enemies in a surprising and delightful way that adds new challenge, which I will not spoil here. Some worlds have stars with varying levels of difficulty, like the harbor town of Portobello, while others like Skyward Sanctuary have a remarkably even difficulty across the board. While most of the stars just challenge you to find a way over to a certain spot in the world, the journeys to each of these spots are varied and interesting. A few stars do need some rethinking, but with 121 in the game, that's not so surprising. 1 star in Burtborough is a rather egregious example, since you only get one shot at it before you have to reload the level. After climbing to the top of a skyscraper, I experienced this cheeky bugger flying off to parts unknown after not landing on him the first time, and he won't come back, meaning that you'll never be able to propeller spin over to the star across the map that is hanging there, mocking you as a declaration to the world that you are merely a scrub. Restarting the world just to spawn the fly guy in his original position so you can try again is a huge annoyance and made me feel like Charlie Brown taking on Lucy in her football. And while everyone in the ROMHACK community knows that the Mario 64 camera is not good compared to modern standards, there were a couple of areas that I don't think were designed around this limitation well enough. It would have been helpful, for example, to be able to see downwards while traversing the floating Tetris block pathway to the second star in Line Clear Frontier. But as with the original game, it's not really possible to tilt the camera downwards unless you're in a first-person mode. The camera will also bug out every once in a while when exiting a level from a pipe or a pool of liquid. I'm not sure if these are issues that could be fixed, but it does happen, and so it's worth mentioning. The boss battles are novel, favoring platforming over battle. You have to climb and jump your way up to a platform and hit King Boo with a jump kick, at which point he'll fade away and appear on another platform, and then you repeat the process twice more for a total of 3 kicks to the old Spectre's face. I like how different it is from the Bowser fights in Mario 64. It's a good idea, but it could have been implemented better simply because it's punishing to miss time a jump and die, only to be forced to complete all 3 platforming sections again before you finally defeat the boss. It's like being required to get 3 stars in a row without dying before you can save your progress. It was the sole aspect of gameplay in this hack that felt grinding to me. But even with those quibbles, none of them are a reason to skip this hack. Overall, Super Mario and the Cursed Castles is a fun experience for all Mario fans, earning it my 2nd highest rating. It's really great. The game offers more of that classic Mario 64 platforming, plus some optional added challenge and several unique twists on the formula. While its compatibility is officially limited to the Project 64 emulator and requires a few extra steps of setup, the game difficulty is accessible to casual players and experts alike. Each of the levels are unique and memorable in their own way, with special shoutouts to Line Clear Frontier, Skyward Sanctuary, and Celestial Citadel. There's some technical quibbles here and there, like too loud music, and while the boss battle worlds can be grinds if you aren't great at platforming, they represent an experimental evolution on the concept, and I credit Foxen for trying something new. So what do you think of this game? Is it right up your alley or not your cup of tea? Vote in the poll in the top right. Yeah, right. And let your voice be known. And then if you want to check out some more action of this game, check out my playthrough on the left here, and then download the game in the description below to try it out for yourself. Thanks for watching.